This is Zestology. It's the podcast all about energy, vitality, motivation, and feeling good. I'm Tony Wrighton, walking by the River Thames in London. And today's podcast guest is undoubtedly a friend of the show. He is Max Lowery. Now, are you a breakfast eater or not? Because the answer to that question is going to be important in terms of today's podcast. Do you eat breakfast or not? There are those of us who eat breakfast and there are those of us who don't. But most of us feel like we should eat breakfast. We've had it drummed into us, haven't we? But have breakfast, best meal of the day. But what if that wasn't the right answer? That's where celebrity trainer and friend of Zestology, Max Lowery, comes in. He is a celebrity trainer, and you might have seen him or heard of him on Made in Chelsea. He trains some of them. He's very modest about it, but we talk about it in this podcast. He's also the creator of the 2-meal day plan. See where I'm going with breakfast there? He's an author, he's a mountain guide, and he's a columnist for The Telegraph as well. And Max Lowery definitely knows his stuff when it comes to intermittent fasting. It's a regular topic on this podcast. I definitely intermittent fast. The moment I gave up breakfast, I just ended up feeling so much better. And these days I notice my focus levels can be outstandingly high in the morning by my standards. I'll be really on it. And if I have a big carby lunch, they'll plummet pretty rapidly afterwards. So yeah, for me it's all about intermittent fasting. But what about you? And do you eat breakfast? And could that be a meal that you skip, or dinner? I think it's a bit harder to skip dinner. But anyway, here he is, Max Lowery on Zestology. Okay, cool. I'm recording now.
Okay.
All right. Well, look, we were about to get into an important chat, so we had to start recording. Max, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah. Good, thanks.
Tired?
I am a little bit tired. Yeah. I mean, it's been kind of a roller coaster of not much sleep at times, but not too bad. But listen, what we were just talking about was the fact that you're doing really well, your business is online, you're this digital nomad, you're in Brussels at the moment, a lot of your business is online, and yet a lot of it is based around the fact that you have been so successful on social media. So how do you kind of detox from that? Because I think it's a real pressure, I've noticed, especially my friends who do well on Instagram, for example, they're always whipping out the phones and taking a story here, there and everywhere.
Yeah, it's a constant battle and something that I'm really aware of. I'm really aware of how it affects my concentration, my relaxation, but also my connection with the people around me. There's quite a good term I've read online which says social media is great for connecting with people that are really far away, but actually terrible for being connected with the people that you're close with and that you're with, in person. So I started incorporating digital fasts. So obviously, as you know, 2-meal day intermittent fasting. I incorporate digital fasts throughout the week and then more recently the weekend as well. So on a day-to-day basis, I try to not look at my phone at all from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. So that's 12 hours overnight where obviously I'm asleep for a lot of that. But it just means that I'm not looking at it as soon as I wake up and I'm not looking at it before bed. And that's made a difference. But then actually, I think what's been more profound is the kind of 48-hour digital fast I do on the weekends. Because for me, social media is like a job. It's a job. That's how I mean, I don't directly make money through Instagram, but obviously that's how I promote what I'm doing, and that's how I connect with people, and that's how I share my message. So basically, I don't use social media on the weekends now. And actually, that's made a huge, huge difference just to my mental health, I think. I'm more calm, I'm more connected with the people around me, I'm more present, and it's just, I get more done on the weekends as well, which is quite nice.
Yeah. Have you heard of these, this light phone? I've been talking about this quite a bit. There's 2 phones that are coming out. I think the light phone is out and the Mudita phone is on the way out. And they're basically very sleek, modern bit of equipment that helps you to reconnect with real life. So, you won't be able to post an Instagram story on the light phone, but it's just something that you can take out. I think it's got phone, text, and I think it's got maps, and that's pretty much it. And getting very popular for exactly the reasons you just outlined. people feel a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of kind of messaging and digital clutter that's going on in their lives.
It's difficult, obviously it's not just social media. It's as you say, it's the iPhone, which I have in general. It's designed to make you want to use it as much as possible. And obviously for me, social media is important, so I'm on it a lot, but I just noticed myself just wasting a lot of time scrolling through Instagram, and it doesn't benefit my life in any way, shape or form. And actually what's interesting and also quite depressing is that when I'm on this digital fast on the weekend, I still have my phone on me, but I actually delete the Facebook and Instagram apps because obviously, you've got to make calls sometimes. Another thing I've done I didn't mention is I've turned off all notifications other than phone calls. And what that means is you're not rudely interrupted when you're with friends, which completely, steals your attention and focus. But yeah, I still have my phone, and it's funny. So I'll go to look at my phone to make a call, and in the time that I've gone to my pocket, taken the phone out, I'm immediately going to the Instagram app without even thinking. It's just like a reflex. And obviously because it's not there, I'm like, oh God, and it's just, that's not good. Fortunately, I'm aware of that, but I think a lot of people aren't, and it can cause lots of problems.
Yeah. I mean, when you go to the loo, Instagram is helpful, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't pass the time, but I've replaced that with Duolingo because I'm currently trying to learn French.
Great. Yeah, well, that's a very productive use of your time. Duolingo is a fantastic app.
Yeah, it's really good. I've used it a lot.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. However good Duolingo is, it involves more active brain energy than Instagram, doesn't it? And therefore, when you're on the loo, looking to while away a couple of minutes, it's a lot easier just to open Instagram, and it still takes a lot of self-control to do that. But it's interesting, isn't it, that your business is all around fasting, and you've been talking about kind of food fasting, intermittent fasting in terms of what we eat, and now it's digital fasting as well. But I suppose the theories are kind of similar as to why you would want to fast digitally or with what you eat. Exactly.
That's why, I don't think I've coined the term digital fasting. I think it's been used before, but, it's with food fasting, there's lots of benefits, but I think it just brings back control with food and improves your relationship with food. And it's exactly the same with digital fasting. It brings back control over your relationship with your phone, and it improves the relationship with your phone. So yeah, there's a lot of crossover, and that's kind of why I've been practicing it myself. I've been incorporating it over the kind of this year in particular, and recently I've been taking it to the next level and then talking about it more as well. And I've been getting a lot of feedback from that and how it's helped people.
Well, listen, I have been following your progress on Instagram. I'm ashamed to admit, bearing in mind what we've talked about already. But I don't tend to delete it at weekends, but I kind of delete it for like a week or two at a time. And then I think, I need to post. Because I suppose my business isn't so Instagram heavy or Instagram reliant. I also don't have the Facebook or Twitter apps on my phone. Unfortunately, turns out that you can check it through your Safari browser, which makes it difficult. I mean, the other thing that annoys me, just before we move off digital detox, is the iPhone now has various different ways that you can limit your screen time. So you can put in, for example, I only want to use Facebook for 10 minutes on a day. And then after 10 minutes, it will kind of block it, and a sign will come up saying you've reached your limit for the day, which would be great if it didn't have another message underneath saying, do you want to extend your time? And then you can just press one button and move on. What I need is an app on my phone that is going to completely ban it and not let me access it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they know what they're doing with iPhone, and in one respect, they are seeming like they're doing the right thing, and they're incorporating these controls. But at the same time, they know what people are like, so they're making it very easy for you to get out of it. I do use the Screen Time app, or whatever it is, the function. So like at 9 o'clock p.m., I'll be locked out of nearly all of the apps, and it's useful because it's a reminder. It's like when I delete the Instagram app. Yeah, if I really need to post something, or if like there's something I haven't done, then I can do it. But it's just a good reminder. Yeah.
So so I've been following your progress on Instagram anyway. That was a roundabout way of saying you've been getting up to lots of stuff, and since we last met last year, You have been climbing a lot of mountains, which I want to hear about. You're now doing some stuff with a national newspaper. And am I right in saying originally, kind of a lot of the way that you kind of rose quite quickly is because you work with a lot of the guys on Made in Chelsea? Is that right?
Initially, yeah, that's how I got like my first 10,000 followers. Definitely.
Was it? Yeah, because I never really asked you about that previously. I don't think I even knew, but I haven't seen any Made in Chelsea stars on your Instagram. Very disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, what, recently?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't know what they look like, but
Yeah, well, the few of them are actually. I mean, one of them in particular, Francis. He's one of my oldest friends. He's still one of my best friends. We live together. So, and then a few other of them. When I was in the nightclub circuit, working as a promoter in London, they were all kind of, my acquaintances, and it was all one kind of social group a bit. But yeah, that's how I initially got my first 10,000 followers, which was a help.
Yeah, that's great. And then, I mean, how much is the kind of the London party scene, or the party scene in general? How much are people more into health and wellness and intermittent fasting and digital detoxing than they were, say, like 5 years ago? Because I know when I was in that scene, which is a lot longer than 5 years ago, really, but I just didn't even think about it.
Yeah. I think definitely, people are more aware of certain, methods that can incorporate balance into your life. The people that are partying are still partying, and a lot of actually the London fitness scene a lot of personal trainers who I've worked with are still partying hard and hitting the Class A substances, but then they're also training. Yeah. I mean, when I was partying, I was pretty young. I was 17, 18, 19. And I wasn't doing any exercise or anything like that. It was very much just hitting it hard. But yeah, definitely, people are more aware of these things, but whether or not they actually incorporate them sustainably and over a long period of time is another thing. They might, I've been drinking loads, I'm just going to start intermittent fasting to try and balance that out. It's kind of the wrong attitude to have. And actually that's kind of what it's the opposite of what I teach.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, look, tell me about, so there's been a lot of mountain hiking pictures. I want an update that isn't necessarily just about kind of intermittent fasting and digital detoxing. What have you been doing with all your hiking over the summer?
So over the past 5 years, I've really noticed how getting out of the city that I was living in, London, and reconnecting with nature has drastically improved my physical health and also more profoundly my mental health. I'm someone that kind of grew up just outside London, so I've kind of grown up with that connection with the outdoors, and for a good 10 years didn't have it. So over the past 5 years, I've incorporated it back into my life. And of course, because I do nothing in half measures, when I was partying, I was partying. It's not just a walk in the park on a weekend. It's developed into 5-day solo hikes, climbing some pretty, I did Mont Blanc this year. And along that journey, I've received a lot of engagement. I was just sharing how it made me feel and how it's improved my life. And a lot of people on my social media really connected with that. So last September, I spent about a year or two qualifying to become a mountain leader. And then last September, I took 2 groups of hikers up a mountain in the French Pyrenees, which is somewhere I've been going since I was about 10 years old. I know the region really well. And this was just kind of a little experiment to see if this was something that I enjoyed, if the guests enjoyed, if it was feasible long-term as a business model. And it ticked all the boxes. It was such a great experience. The first guests had an amazing experience. They were from all over the world as well. One group, it was one Ukrainian, one Russian, one French, one Italian, one English, So amazing to connect with like-minded people. So that was last September. I did 2. And then this year I've done 5, and the business is called Connect Retreats. And yeah, it's been going really well. It's all based in the French Pyrenees, and next year there's the plan to expand that. But it's just, I think there's a lot of people who are, like you say, they're aware of all these methods, they're training, they're maybe incorporating intermittent fasting, they're looking at their nutrition, but they're not getting the mental health benefits of getting out of the city and reconnecting with nature. And I'm someone that can potentially offer that experience for people. And give them confidence to allow them to go and do it in their own time. And that's what's been really, really fun to do this year. And again, so in total, I've had 32 guests from 18 different countries in a year of Connect Retreats. So that's been a lot of fun.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do people find out about it? Through Instagram?
At the moment, it's all social media, which is unsustainable long term because, you're not in control of what goes on social media. So, yeah, I'm currently working on a marketing strategy for next year. But yeah, no, it's
that's cool. Yeah.
It's a great experience, and I think it's quite unique as well. It kind of incorporates a bit of everything that I talk about. A lot of them do follow the 2 meal day on the hikes. It's not something that I enforce at all because, for a lot of people, maybe it's their first experience with hiking, and maybe they've only done fasting a bit. So I don't, I prepare them breakfast is prepared for them. But we do mobility work and breath work throughout the whole walk. We practice some mindfulness. And at the very end of the walk, we finish with some cold water therapy in a mountain river, which is it's cold all year round. Even in midsummer, it's about 10 or 11 degrees. So it's quite a unique experience, I think. And it's been,
it sounds blissful. I mean, it really does sound amazing. I'm pretty sure you've just sold at least 5 more places on one of your retreats next year because you just made it sound so nice. And I'm just looking forward to my commission.
Yes.
I mean, what's really interesting about you combining the different aspects of what you do on those hikes is the fact that I don't think I'm probably quite as hardcore as you, but we've done a couple of good hikes over the last couple of years. We went up Mount Toubkal, which is the highest mountain in North Africa, and we did the 3 peaks kind of challenge.
Yeah.
Kind of 3 peaks, 3 tallest peaks in Wales, England, and Scotland over 24 hours. And one of the things that I noticed, amazing experience. We went up Scaffer Pike in the middle of the night, and I did it with all my best mates, and it was just a beautiful evening. It was great. It was really, really good. And when we did Mount Toubkal, especially, but also on the 3 peaks, I intermittent fast. I don't eat until lunchtime. Really seems to suit my gut. I don't even have to think about it. I just don't eat until lunch. And this morning it's 12:25 and we're recording this now. I've had a coffee. Would that be cheating in your rules or not?
No, I drink cold brew coffee.
Cold brew. Oh, okay, good. Okay, well mine was a hot brew. But when we went up the mountain, I was doing the same thing and on a pretty low carb diet, and I'm slightly less low carb now. But I have to say, about 4 hours in, all I needed was a very sugary Fanta, and it just made me feel so much better. And then I remember on the 3 peaks, the low carbs and the intermittent fasting, it wasn't enough for me. I just needed to cram it all into my mouth. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, it really depends on the hike that I'm doing. If it's just kind of a leisurely, where I'm not trying to cover distances, then I will still do the 2 meal day. But the only problem with that, it's not that I lose energy. It's that you end up having to carry more food because, if I set off in the morning and I don't eat breakfast, it means I'm carrying more food for that day. So it really depends. But whereas if for Mont Blanc and for other peaks that I really want to go for it, I usually have some overnight oats first thing in the morning before I head off. But yeah, it's kind of different. It's not that you can't do it. I'm a lot less low carb than I used to be, although probably still more low carb than others. But yeah, it's the hiking nutrition is completely different. Like I'll be eating foods I wouldn't necessarily usually eat on a day-to-day basis, just because you're looking at calorie to weight ratio. You want as high calories as possible, but as light as possible, because at the end of the day you're carrying that. But yeah, like things like Fanta and Coca-Cola, when you're in that depleted state, it's like immediate energy, immediate morale boost. But I had one guest come on the last retreat, I think it was just a few weeks ago, and he was really into fasting at the time, and like it's really changed his life. He actually 2 days he fasted until the end of the hike on those days, and he was fine. We're not covering huge distances. It's challenging, but it's not ridiculous. But then I did tell him, because obviously I've been through exactly the same thing he has, where I think food slows me down, which it does on a day-to-day basis. But the issue is if you're doing a multi-day hike, and you're fasting until late in the evening, you're not going to get enough calories in, because you're burning 4,000 or 5,000 calories on a hike like that.
Yeah.
And then over a few days, that'll be fine for 2 days. But on the third day, you're going to feel low energy. You're going to need to eat a lot more, which he did. He had breakfast first thing in the morning. He listened to his body. So yeah, it's a personal thing, and it's something that's worth experimenting with as well. Try fasting until lunch or later, but then equally have something first in the morning and see how you feel.
Sounds amazing though. Anyway, that's really awesome. The retreats business. You might find, you might find us coming along with a small baby. I'm sure you can accommodate us. It'll be fine. We'll put him in a rucksack on the back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like we see. So actually, my climbing partner, Lee, he's been having this conversation as well. Because he may be thinking about having a baby at some point, and we saw men and women carrying babies on their backs at some pretty high peaks, and it doesn't need to slow you down necessarily. Yes, you probably won't climb Mont Blanc and do glacier travel and do ice climbing, but it doesn't mean that has to stop you doing some decent peaks and having fun.
Yeah, definitely. Just interrupting this podcast for one moment to remind you that it's brought to you by Sunlighten Saunas, an ultra-low EMF sauna with Netflix in it. Does it get any better? It's really nice for these winter days. Get into the sauna, and what I love about the infrared sauna is it's all backed up by a rigorous amount of scientific research that shows that it is excellent for everything from heart health and heart rate variability to detox and relaxation. I've certainly found with my Oura Ring stats that my sleep gets a lot better and deeper, and my heart rate variability seems to get better as well, and I can also feel myself detox in it. I'm actually not going in the sauna for that long at the moment because I'm taking it slowly, because I can tell that it's working and I don't want to over detox, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's just so great to have the Sunlighten sauna, and it's an especially good hack in winter, I think. Mention Zestology to get $200 or £200 off at Sunlighten Saunas. And now back to the show. Now tell me about the Telegraph, because Graham Norton recently departed as a columnist, but I believe Max Lowery is the star new signing. What's going on there?
No, that's nothing new. I've been Telegraph columnist since the book came out, really. So two years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so about 2 years. Well, I didn't see, why did Graham Norton leave then?
He just moved on. It's just been in the papers this week. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a long-lasting relationship with them. We've helped each other. They've helped me spread the message about the 2 meal day, intermittent fasting, and lots of other things. It's something that I continue to it's not something I do every single week. It's something when I feel like I've come up with something, then I'll approach them, because, at the end of the day, I'm not just going to churn out articles for the sake of churning out articles. It's if there's something that I think could help people and something that I think is worth sharing, then I'll write about it. But, I'm not just going to start writing things because it's popular. Another thing I've noticed, not just with the Telegraph, but whenever I've done any other kind of big, I've done this morning a few times, and as soon as you hit like a big media outlet, they want you to kind of sell yourself in some respects. They want you to say certain things that often I don't feel comfortable with. What the ITV thing, this morning thing was, it was all about how to lose half a stone in weight in 2 weeks, and they were really kind of pushing this, and I kept pushing back and being like, at the end of the day, that shouldn't be the goal. If you're just going to force this message of how do you lose weight quickly, the things I talk about are never going to become a way of life, and you're never going to actually get the long-lasting results that you want.
So that's quite interesting. Speaking as someone who's worked in TV for about 12 years on a regular basis, we're always looking for the top story and the most interesting and, I suppose, sensationalist angle. When you say you pushed back on that, I didn't know you'd been on this morning. That's quite exciting. But they obviously still had you on, even though you pushed back.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not going to say no to the audience. It was me, another personal trainer, a female personal trainer, and also a doctor, a female GP. And, we were all of the same opinion that actually this isn't a great thing to be promoting. You shouldn't. There's many reasons why there's an obesity crisis in the Western world, in the UK, and the media play a massive part in that, because it's just got to this stage where it's all about clickbait. It's all about, as you say, sensationalist articles. People are confused. In one newspaper there'll be breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and then the next week in the same paper there'll be you got me on there saying that breakfast isn't necessarily the most important meal of the day. So, people are confused. And I think that's where social media can come in. And, we've been talking about the negatives of social media, but at the same time, there are a ton of positives as well. We wouldn't have connected if it wasn't for social media. My photographer and videographer are now, who I met through Instagram, are now actually like my best friends. Then equally, there are lots of people like myself and you who are sharing positive messages that could potentially help people. So, there's pros and cons to everything.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing about losing weight, and when you look at that, is that you probably know this better than me, but just in terms of intermittent fasting and why it works so well in terms of regulating your weight is that if you're someone who kind of crash diets every once in a while, then when you come back to the same diet as you used to have, it will help you'll put on weight more. Your body basically kind of realigns itself, and then it's harder to lose weight in the future. So actually crash dieting is not a very good idea.
No, they say diets don't work. They do work in the short term. A lot of them, people get results, but the issue is that they don't work long term. They're not sustainable. And this is why I love intermittent fasting. If intermittent fasting was just about the weight loss, then I wouldn't be as comfortable and as passionate about sharing it with everyone. But there's a whole host of other benefits, like improved mental focus and energy levels. You're less hungry overall, which is an absolute game changer. What other diet allows you to eat large meals, feel satisfied at the end of those meals, you lose weight, and overall you're less hungry? That doesn't exist. And then, of course, there's the potential health benefits as well of, improves insulin sensitivity, can lower blood pressure, it can improve gut health and allow your gut to replenish and recover with the gut bacteria. So, to be honest, though, I'm getting to the stage where I don't even like putting a label on what I do. Yes, I do intermittent fast, I guess. But to be honest, all I do is I just eat when I'm hungry. And because I've been doing this for such a long time now, I know what hunger actually is. And it takes some time where you're spending X amount of time during the day where you're not eating to understand what hunger actually is. You feel hunger come and go throughout the day, and most of that actually doesn't warrant eating. It's boredom, it's routine, it's social, it's environmental as well. I've noticed you could walk into somewhere where you're used to eating a lot of food and you'll feel hungry, even though you're not necessarily, it's not time to eat. So, these things I think are really powerful. And so, like some days I might break my fast after 12 hours. Not often. Usually if I've trained hard, been incredibly active, and haven't got enough calories in the day before, I'll feel hungry earlier, so I'll eat. But then equally, if I'm not training that hard and I've been eating quite a lot, I might fast for 24 hours. And I think...
Well, what's your average?
Usually probably 18, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm on about 18 now, actually. Yeah.
But it's not something... I don't count, I don't count it. It's not something... I mean, this is specifically why I started the 2 meal day, because when the focus is on the clock, I've noticed with my clients and my community, people get obsessed with the clock and they're listening to the clock instead of listening to their bodies. And that's where the power in intermittent fasting lies. Like you say, it realigns your body. Everyone has the ability to be able to go for extended periods of time throughout the day, be full of energy, get everything done, and not have to eat every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of people are battling with the opposite. They're having to eat every 5 seconds. They're hungry all the time. They're constantly looking at the clock, and it's causing a lot of problems, not just weight gain.
Yeah, there's one other thing I would say about intermittent fasting is that more recently I've noticed that I have significantly more focused and kind of mental agility when I haven't eaten. And that is, by the way, only when I'm not hungry. If I was hungry, then I would eat. But I've noticed that I haven't really tuned into that aspect of it before. I'm just sharper before I've eaten and less sharp after I've eaten now, which is another very good reason to intermittent fast. But I mean, you probably noticed that as well, don't you?
So to be honest, that is the reason why I initially continued to do it. And that's why I think it's so powerful is, when I first started doing it, it was about getting lean, and I did get lean effortlessly. But actually, it's just the insane mental clarity that you have. And like you say, I think the one downside so this is like a double-edged sword, this mental clarity, because obviously it's great to have this mental clarity, but then also you become more sensitive to how food affects you. And, when you eat, your parasympathetic nervous system is kind of activated, it's the rest and digest, you feel slow, you feel lethargic, the blood starts to pull to your stomach, you're digesting, and you do become more sensitive to that. So I kind of try to get most of my things done before I break my fast. But it doesn't, it's not always like that. But that's definitely one of the biggest benefits, I think, is that mental clarity. And it makes perfect sense. When you're going through periods without eating, we are still the same as we were when we were hunter-gatherers. Nothing much has changed other than the environment. The environment has drastically changed. But the last thing your body wants to do when there's a period without food is make you feel tired and lethargic, because you need to catch your next meal. So there are hormones that are released like norepinephrine, which have a direct effect on your mental alertness and your mood, which are potentially helping you to catch your next meal. Obviously, we're not going out and catching our next meal, most of us in the Western world, but that's why there's this kind of boost in energy, combined with the fact that digestion takes up quite a lot of energy as well. You're freeing up that energy for other purposes. And so, it's a game changer.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the reminders, actually. Of why it's so important. Now, something that I've asked you before, but I'm going to ask you again, is what is one book that you would recommend and one tip for living with more energy and vitality? So a book that's important to you, or maybe just a book that you're reading at the moment that is resonating, and one tip for more energy and vitality.
One book. Let me think. What's the book that had the biggest effect on me? There's probably better ones than this, but the one that's springing to mind at the moment is something called Breakfast is a Dangerous Meal by Terence. Can't remember the name of the guy, but he's a biologist, and it just kind of talks about the nitty-gritty things of why eating first thing in the morning isn't necessarily essential, and for some people it can be detrimental. Another one actually is it not Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker? There's another one.
I interviewed Matthew Walker when he was in London a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, amazing guy. Yeah,
that must have been great. I haven't actually read that one, but I've read another one by Nick Littlehales called The Myth of 8 Hours. Yeah,
I've had him on my podcast as well. He's very good too. He's a big works in sports a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that actually completely changed the way that I looked at sleep. So the second tip is for energy and vitality is sleep. It comes before everything else. You could be intermittent fasting, you could be eating all the right foods, you could be training efficiently and effectively, but if you're not getting that sleep, and it's quality sleep, it's not just about getting 9 hours every night, but having a regular sleeping pattern and all this kind of stuff. Getting that quality sleep is the most important thing you can do for your health, energy levels, vitality, and it's something that for me, sleep is sacred. It's nothing gets in the way of sleep. 10 o'clock, I'm starting my bedtime routine. The phone's off. I'm stretching. Sometimes I do meditation. I dim the lights gradually in the house. And because I'm someone that definitely will lie there awake at night and think about things if I haven't gone through this process of switching my brain off. And it's just, it's a game changer, and it's free, like fasting, like cold water therapy, like nature time. The most powerful things are free. Anyone can do it. And sleep is the best recovery tool. If you are training hard, it's the best recovery tool. Nothing beats it.
Yeah. I mean, a can of Fanta half the way up a mountain comes pretty close.
Yeah. I know what you mean, because I actually did an ultra marathon last year up a mountain, up the mountain that we go on the hikes with Connect retreats, and I ate a surprising amount on a 60-kilometer race. I didn't think I'd eat as much as that, but my saving grace was Coca-Cola, which I never drink on a day-to-day basis. But like you said, it was like immediate energy boost, immediate morale boost, because it's so absorbative in that state.
Yeah. Wow. Well, look, it's great to talk to you. Good luck with the digital nomad lifestyle.
Thanks very much.
So you're in Brussels at the moment. Looks lovely, kind of old antique fireplace in the background.
Yeah, no, it's a really nice apartment, actually, really high ceilings. Lila, my girlfriend, she's got plants all over the place. She's been living here for like a year or something, but she was just renting a small room. Now she's taken the whole apartment on, and I've kind of semi-moved in. We've been going out like 7 years, so yeah, it's fairly serious.
and then you can just pop back on the Eurostar if you need.
Exactly. I'm in London next week, actually, from the 15th for about 3 weeks, and then I'm back here, and I'm down in the Pyrenees. So yeah, all over the place.
And you can just log on, do your work from wherever, but still switch off at weekends. It's nice. Exactly. Yeah. Well done, Max. I'm so pleased everything's going so well.
Same to you with the baby as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Chapter.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I know. I was listening to you talking about the sleep. And I mean, the funny thing is that our sleep time has just come forward so much. We go to bed so early now because you've got to give yourself a good run at it now. If you're in bed at 9:30, terrific. You got a real good chance at 7 hours, even with a wake up. So it's all good. Now, where can people find out more about the retreats and the 2 meal day and everything else?
So retreats, there's Instagram is a great place. It's connect_retreats. Then also the website is connectretreats.co.uk. And I have just announced the first of next year's dates, because it's going to be not just hiking retreats. We're actually building off-grid eco yurts, and I will be doing fitness retreats as well, which will be a lot of fun. It will be, a combination of trail running, mobility, breath work, strength work, all the kind of basically just to be able to come and train like me in an amazing environment. And then with the 2 meal day, 2mealday.com. A ton of information on there. I've written a lot of in-depth articles if you're looking at getting into this way of eating. And then my personal Instagram is @max.lowery, Lowery.
Well done. That sounds great. The eco yurts sound excellent.
Yeah, I'm excited about those.
So you're building them?
Oh, I'm not building them. I'm... So basically, let me put this. So the reason I've been going to Pyrenees for a long time is because it's actually my girlfriend's family home.
Right.
Lila's brother is my oldest friend. So I've known the family for an incredibly long time. They moved out there about 20 years ago. So we're building. I mean, I'm not building them personally, although I'll be involved with the setup of the yurts. But yeah they're being built at the moment, and they'll be ready for next spring. So that'll be a really cool thing.
Wow, that is awesome. Yeah. Excellent. Max, well done. Good luck with it all. And
thanks,
stay in touch.
You too.
Thank you, Max. And thank you for listening to Zestology. Hope you had a little bit of zesty inspiration for your week. I'm still walking down by the Thames and want to remind you of 2 of my favourite recent hacks. One, you can look back a couple of episodes to Rahul Bernath. I don't know if you heard that one, but that is the artificial intelligence bike that gives you a whole workout in 40 seconds. I know it sounds utterly ridiculous, doesn't it? But that was a podcast that came out a couple of weeks ago. If you didn't hear that, it's definitely, I think, worth checking out because it's quite a lot of fun. We record it while I'm on the bike. And those 2 20-second spurts were quite something, and you could check it out if you want as well. I'm reliably informed that there is a Carol AI artificial intelligence bike in Harvey Nichols in London. And make sure you say that Zestology and Tony Wrighton sent you as well. So there is that, and there's also the sunlight and sauna that I'm loving at the moment. Lovely for these cold winter days. Nice bracing walk along the river, and then getting the sunlight and sauna for everything from detox to relaxation. The research on heart rate variability is particularly interesting with the sunlight and sauna, and I've seen my HRV improve when I go in it. and I've seen that improve on my Oura ring. I know I'm sounding quite technical and geeky right now, but I kind of get excited about that kind of thing, and I know a lot of listeners to this podcast do as well. So Sunlight and Saunas, mention Zestology and get $200 or £200 off. And the Carol AI bike, mention Zestology. I can't remember what you get off, but I think it's something. But I can't remember what. But anyway, they're really lovely people who work there as well. And as you know, I only talk about stuff on this podcast that I use and love. So there you go. And we're going to record a whole podcast in the sauna at some point, which is going to be great. Could be quite a taxing affair. And in the meantime, have a great week. Thanks for listening to Zestology. There are those hacks that I just mentioned and more on my website, which is tonyrighton.com/hacks. And I'll see you next time.